When you become pregnant, Listeria is one of the first things that you'll hear about, and everybody will be telling you to avoid it. So today I've invited my friend, colleague and Listeria guru, Claire Ward, to come and tell us all about Listeria, and we're going to really get into the guts of it. Get that? My little joke? Get into the guts of Listeria. So if you want to know more about what Listeria is and what to do to avoid it, stay tuned. Well, hey Claire, fantastic to have you on the show. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
My pleasure. So can you tell us, how did you come to be such an expert in Listeria?
Well, I've been a dietitian for a fair while, so nearly 20 years, and one of my roles, I worked as a food service and a food safety dietitian for about 12 years. And I learned a lot, obviously, and I did a lot of study and a lot of research into food safety, Listeria, foodborne illnesses, and things like that. So, yeah, I focused on that for a fair while, and in my private practice at the moment, I do see people who are pregnant, and obviously Listeria is one of the things that they are concerned about. Yeah.
Absolutely. And so can you tell us, what is Listeria?
That's a very good question. I think a lot of people hear about Listeria and they go, oh, I can't have it, I don't know what it is. But it's actually a bacteria that can cause foodborne illnesses. The reason we are so concerned about it is one of, if you kill that bug, you kill every bug. All the bugs under it. It can grow in all different conditions. So it can grow in a salt condition. It can grow even in, lays dormant, in anaerobic and aerobic conditions. So it's a really hard one to kill. So
for people who might not know, what does aerobic and anaerobic conditions?
So that's just whether it's got carbon dioxide or oxygen in there. So it can, I suppose the key point is that it can grow at all levels at any time on all foods.
It's a nasty little sucker.
It is a nasty sucker. So if you kill that one, you kill them all. So that's why we kill to the highest point, I suppose, and then we're protecting from all bugs then, which is good.
Yeah, fantastic. So why is it such a concern during pregnancy in particular?
Look, it does affect the vulnerable population. So it does affect pregnant women, it does affect elderly and anyone with a low immune system. But the reason it's so important with pregnancy is that if a pregnant woman does get this bug, essentially there's an 80% mortality rate. So, look, that sounds quite scary.
Very scary.
It is. However, one thing to remember that it's not that common, and last year or the previous years, there's about 80 cases a year diagnosed. So that's in Australia. So that's including everyone, not just pregnant women. So it's not that common. But if you do get it, it can be quite deadly. And I suppose the problem is also that it can range from either 3 days to 3 months. So if you get it, it's really hard to pinpoint where you've got it from, because it might take 3 months to come up in the system.
Yeah.
So
but it's not actually catching a bug, is it?
It's not catching a bug, no. It's from eating foods that contain this bacteria, or we haven't, I suppose, heated foods up enough to kill the bacteria, because that's the only way you can kill this bug.
Yeah, right. Okay, so it's foods that have actually got this bacteria.
It comes from the soil. Actually comes from, it's a bacteria found naturally in soil.
And when you say 80 cases a year in Australia, do you have any idea of the stats about what percentage of those are pregnant women?
No, they haven't fine-tuned it that much. No, they've got, it's actually 84 cases was in 2016, and they haven't actually got that, because it, I suppose, it's so varied with the pregnant, because it's 3 to 3 months. It's like, well, are they pregnant? Are they trying to get pregnant? Have they had the baby? So they've just put it all into one sort of there's no actual stats saying which one for pregnancy alone.
And how would somebody know if they've got Listeria?
So it's very flu-like symptoms, which is why it's so hard. So headache, dizziness, vomiting, and that's one of the hardest things because you don't really know. It's simple. It's just like all other food poisoning. If you've got food poisoning, it's a similar sort of symptoms. You don't really know, and I think that's the hardest. And like you will miscarriage if you have a baby, if you're pregnant. If you aren't pregnant, well then you will just have the food poisoning symptoms. So so it is a very hard one to know if you've got or don't have.
So when you get food poisoning, you've gone to your local Chinese and eaten something a bit dodgy, and you end up with loose bowels and vomiting that night. Is it those types of symptoms?
Yes, I think
or
so.
Not always that
And
aggressive?
so if that was happening, if I had been to Chinese and I felt like that the next day, I would absolutely go and see my GP. You can get tested, which can help you that way. But I would definitely, if I was vomiting after being out, I think vomiting is a big one. A little bit of diarrhea here and there could be, you could be passing any sort of bug, but if you were vomiting as well and you were quite getting dehydrated and all those sort of things, I would definitely take further investigation.
And then in terms of like to put it into context, because it does sound very scary, who else are vulnerable communities that might be at risk of Listeria?
The aged care, elderly and aged care facilities, and you may have heard on the news like the rockmelon incident that recently went on that affected some old people and they did die. And look, they are definitely at high risk. People of low immunity, like people who are having cancer treatments or chemotherapy, they're also at risk. So anyone with a low immunity is at risk, and being an unborn fetus, then that is obviously a low immunity person as well.
So hypothetically, say you and I went out to eat rockmelon together, and I'm pregnant and you're not pregnant, and the rockmelon had Listeria, it wouldn't affect you in any way?
Maybe not. It depends on the dosage. It's very dose dependent.
Even if we had the same dose? Okay. But it could affect me.
Could affect your baby being pregnant.
My baby.
So you actually may not bet the baby because it's the vulnerable one. It could affect the baby. Yes.
Okay. Fantastic. Thank you for helping to clarify that. Now, in terms of tips for women who are pregnant, who are obviously wanting to avoid exposure to Listeria, what would you recommend? Because there is a lot of Listeria hysteria as well.
There is, and I think, and that's the scary part, like that you don't want to be avoiding all healthy foods because of it, but you can just take precautions. So making sure your meat's cooked through is a big one. And the bug is killed when your food is heated above 72 degrees for longer than 2 minutes. So
2 minutes, right?
Yeah, if it's heated for like it's cooked through, you're not having raw meat, raw fish, raw anything essentially, then you're going to have a better chance of obviously killing the bug and there not even being a bug there. Just avoiding like soft cheeses, rather have hard cheese. So cheese is good for protein and calcium and very important during pregnancy. And but just avoiding the soft sort of cheeses which haven't been pasteurised. Things like rockmelons, foods that you can't really wash or clean properly. Rock melons, because they've got little dimples in the skin, so you kind of want to, you can't wash them properly, which is why the bacteria get stuck in it. So they're kind of high risk foods. Sprouts, bean sprouts as well. But look, if you're ever concerned, I think you always heat your food thoroughly, and you should be okay. And like deli meats, things that could be sitting out there for a while. We're not really quite sure how long they've been there. They should be right from a food safety point of view in regards to meeting standards and hazard regulations. But for a vulnerable population group, they may not be just right.
And what about food hygiene? Like, have you got any tips around that?
Food hygiene is a big one. And even at Christmas time, when people make their salad, they leave it on the bench at 40 degrees and it's sitting out there for, 6 hours while we snack all afternoon. They're the things I would be trying to avoid. And, making sure your chopping board's clean properly. You use a dishwasher to clean your utensils. All those sort of things, absolutely, you can take that extra care.
So cleaning your chopping board properly. What's properly?
That's an interesting one. There's lots of different variations in that. I like to encourage people, obviously to wash their chopping board, but actually using hot water, so that hot 72 degrees above water, and scrubbing it with a bit of detergent, of course. Some people even put some salt on there, But the salt doesn't necessarily kill, however, but the temperature will. So it's that hot water that actually is the important part in that whole process.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, fantastic. And anything else that you would like to tell our listeners today?
I think one of the main things is don't be scared of it. It's really important that you be aware of it, but not to restrict your food and because of it. Rather just take a bit of extra care. I mean, if you're at a restaurant, rather than ordering rare meat, order well-cooked meat. It's just those basic sort of things. And if you are concerned, speaking to a dietitian who is aware of this and specialises in pregnancy is a really good idea.
Well, thanks so much, Claire. We're going to put Claire's contact details in the show notes. So if anybody would like to have a consultation with her or speak to her for more advice, just have a look in the comments below and you'll be able to find it all there. Now, so it's obvious from this conversation with Claire that Listeria is something important that we do need to be considering during pregnancy, but as we said, without stressing too much about it. So now I have a question for you, and what I want you to do is to write in the comments boxes for me below, what's one new tip that you've learnt from Claire that you can use to reduce your Listeria exposure. Because you know that writing things down really helps to cement it in our brain. So don't just think it, but actually type it in the comments box below, and that will help you to have some accountability for achieving that. And make sure that you do share this video with any of your other friends that are pregnant that you might think that they can get some benefit out of this information as well. So thanks again for joining us today. It's great to see you as always, and we look forward to catching up with you next week.
Oh yeah.
So, but I never know what to do because then, I'm always, that's right. I'm always such a goose and a dad, naturally, and then as soon as I'm told be a goose, I'm like what do I do? So stupid.
Yeah. So, is that all right? Is that cover?
I thought it was amazing. I think, I tried to put such natural and exactly all those things that we've talked about in the past. So it was really great.
Just so because you got the blasé stuff, and then I'm like, and you asked me what anaerobic is. I'm like, I really don't know. I read it somewhere. Something to do with carbon dioxide. I'm not that scientific.
Oh, sorry.
I'm like, I don't know, maybe I didn't ask the science teacher. I didn't pass chemistry, no. So that was so that was a great question. Thanks for that, Mel. I was like, don't ask me that one.
Threw you under the bus.
Yes, completely. No, that was good. No, so I hope I covered everything. I wanted to get across that it's not hysteria. Do you know what I mean? It's like, it happens 84 times, and like the chances are 10, 20. I didn't want to make those numbers up. There is actually nothing out there with the numbers, so I was like, better not make it up. But I know there was 84. I did actually look that up. So.